Well, here I am. It's been a while. It's been a while since I put up a new video. You know, for a new channel, that's probably not a very good idea, but that's what happened. Start a video channel. That was my thought. I thought, well, what's my subject going to be? My subject ended up being retirement topics. Well, I did okay for a while. I came up with some stuff, talked about it, wrote some scripts, had a few views, but never really went anywhere. Not really sure why. Not sure if it was the content or if it was me. Could very well have been me. But, you know, I kind of lost interest after pretty intense first 2 or 3 weeks of videos. I'm still not really sure why I'm putting this one up today, because I don't really have any idea what I'm going to talk about in this one. There's a lot going on in the world. A lot of it has to do with retired people. Well, it affects retired people. It's going to affect everybody. We have war. We have weather. A lot of heat. We have fires. Fires in Canada. Fires in Washington. Fires in Oregon. Fires in Minnesota. Fires all over the place. Smoke in the air. Here where I am in the Pacific Northwest, specifically in Washington, it's not too smoky right now. We've had a lot of onshore flow from the ocean, so it's keeping our air fairly clean. But sometimes we get really, really bad smoke. I remember back in, I think it was 2018, when we had some really bad smoke from fires in Washington and in British Columbia. And the smoke, man, you couldn't see anything anywhere. You could taste it. You know, how your lips get, you know, and you lick your lips and you can taste the smoke. It's like we were inside a giant smoker. The only thing is we weren't brined or anything like that. We were just getting the flavor, you know what I mean? I mean, it was so smoky. And I realized that that's what a lot of people are going through right now. And I'm sorry for that. My wife and I say prayers, and we pray for people who are affected by these fires. Our neighbors to the north in Canada, and, you know, even more locally in Washington and Oregon. It's tough. It's very tough. So our hearts go out to you, and we sympathize greatly with, you know, any hardship that you might be going through at this time. What else is going on? Oh, the World Cup is done. As I record this, it's Wednesday, late morning, and the World Cup ended on this past Sunday. I don't know if you all watched that or not, but I watched a little bit of it, and I'm not really a soccer fan, but I watch it more for the spectacle that it is. I know some of the big names, and I was pretty impressed with some of the athletic performances during the World Cup. I was also pretty impressed with the way all our visitors conducted themselves here. We had 6 games in Seattle, and it was quite the turnout. A lot of fun, and a lot of partying to be had, I guess, down in the stadium district and down where people were staying. Very well behaved, and I guess they really enjoyed this area, so I'm glad they had fun. But now you can go home. Yeah, we're just too crowded here. Soccer. Not a big fan. It's not an exciting sport to me. I didn't grow up with it. I can understand if it's something you played when you started at 4 or 5 years old and you played it your whole life and you've been a fan. But here in this country, the United States, we just have a lot of other things that kids get interested in when they're young, and they play soccer for maybe a few years while they're in elementary school, and then they get into junior high and high school, and there's a lot of other opportunities for sports. You all know what there is. There's football, basketball, baseball, track, hockey, you name it. It's everything. There's so much to choose from. And soccer just isn't one of those things for most kids. And it's too bad in a way, but that just happens to be the way it is. But here in the Northwest, football's our big thing. Baseball's pretty big too. And if the Sonics ever come back, that'll be a big deal too. There's a possibility the Sonics are going to come back up here. They're not going to move from anywhere. It'll be an expansion. But that's another thing I don't care much for, really, is the NBA. I do know some of the big names, but I don't really follow it. When I was much younger, I followed it quite a bit. But not so much the last 20 or 30 years. At least not since the Supersonics left for Oklahoma City, or were stolen from us. More accurately told. Football's our big thing, though. And in case you hadn't heard, Seattle Seahawks are world champions. And still are. And will be at least for another, 6 months, 7 months. I think they're going to do pretty good this year. The world better watch out for the Seattle Seahawks, because all last season, they flew under the radar and just blew everybody away. They won like 10 games in a row at the end of the season. And I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what it was. Very good team. Very good coach. Awesome coach, Mike McDonald. Anyway, this isn't really a sports channel, but these are things that are just popping in my head because I really didn't know what I was going to talk about when I started this video. So, if you're still here, you get what you get, I guess. So this is me being me. And sometimes I just ramble on and talk about nothing. And, that's a lot of what YouTube channels are. Is people getting on here and just rambling on and talking about nothing. Remember Seinfeld? That was a show about nothing. And it was successful. So there are a lot of successful YouTubers who get on here and talk about nothing. Or just whatever pops into their head. Kind of a stream of consciousness kind of thing. I'm not a person who likes the sound of my own voice necessarily. If I did, I would be making a lot more of these videos. And, maybe I will. I don't know. I really don't know. Because I don't think that retirement topics are going to take off. If you think that's something that you want to know more about, please comment. Some of you may be subscribed to this channel based on, what I could be talking about in the future. And you may be disappointed if it changes. And that's okay. If you want to hear more retirement stuff, let me know. Or if you want to hear about something else, you can let me know that too. I am very open to the direction that this channel might take. You know, it could be anything. It could be I just sit here and talk like this, or whatever pops into my head, which in most cases is really not that interesting. You know, somebody might find it interesting, but that's your problem, I guess. Anyway. So, you know, it could go a number of different directions. You know, we could do food reviews. We could do restaurant reviews. We could do, I could drive around and show you what this beautiful state is like, what the nature is, some of the things that you may not know about or see, you know, with a little bit of background on what we're looking at and that kind of thing. It could end up being a channel where my wife and I share recipes, or, you know, I mean, it could be anything. It just depends. And that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on with this retired person right here. Kind of grasping at what to do to keep myself busy when I'm retired. I am going to be 70 years old in a few months. I know I don't look it, but you know, some of us are cursed. But I'm going to be 70 years old in a few months. And some of you watching this are probably in the same kind of boat. You're going to be a certain age and you're going to say, where did the time go? What did I do the last so many years, the last 70 years to get this far? How much longer have I got? I think about that a lot. Yeah, I think about that a lot. If you're retired, maybe you think about that too. So I guess, you know, not to get all morbid and anything, but we got to make it count. You know, there's sometimes when I think about how long I've been around and what I've done with my life, and I'm not going to go into my life because that's just a whole nother thing. I'm not going to, you know, unless I start talking about some stupid things that I've done, which there's been plenty of those, and some of the hardships and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to get real specific. But you wonder about, you know, how you're going to spend your eternity. You wonder about how you're going to be remembered. You wonder about what you're going to leave behind. I worry about that a lot. That's a thought that constantly bothers me, is if something happened to me where I kicked off later today or tomorrow or suddenly at some point, what would happen to my wife? And it's really scary because the area we live in the Seattle area, is very expensive to live here. And I say that not out of any kind of pride or bragging or anything like that, but for a lot of people, including us, the cost of living here in this area is absolutely crushing. And we're not the worst off either. There are a lot of people that are worse off than we are, but they're also getting public assistance, some of them, And we're not. We're on Social Security, but that's not public assistance. It's crushing. It's absolutely crushing. And some of you maybe live in those kind of areas. I know we're not the only expensive area in this country. California, the Northeast, Washington D.C. area. A lot of different places are expensive, but this area in particular it's a very desirable area. The climate is gorgeous. It really doesn't rain all the time. That's a big secret. It doesn't rain all the time. In fact, we get less rain here on an annual basis than they do in places like Boston. So it's really a myth that it always is raining here. It's a myth. But don't tell anybody, because we want to keep people away. At least we, as in me. We used to have a movement here back in the 80s, and even before that, but I got here in 1981, and so I've lived, 3/4 of my life here. And there was a newspaper guy, his name was Emmett Watson, and he worked for the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. We had 2 big newspapers here when I got here. Now we barely have one. But Emmett Watson had this chip on his shoulder against people moving into the state of Washington, or in particular the Seattle area, from California. It didn't help, because they came and they stayed, and they still keep coming, and they're still coming. They're leaving California, they're coming to Washington, they're coming to Oregon, they're going to Idaho and Montana. And I'm not going to say anything derogatory about people from California, but they are driving up the cost of living in those places they're moving to. They're changing the politics of those places. They changed the politics of this area over the last 45 years. It has dramatically shifted to the left from where it was when I moved here 45 years ago. It's not for the better either. Anyway, it's not a political channel, but I may get on a rant once in a while. You know what? My fingers are getting numb from holding this selfie stick that my phone is attached to, upon which I am filming this video. And pretty soon I won't be able to feel my thumb. And that's, just something that happens. It's half numb always anyway, but it's even worse when I hold it in one position for, almost 20 minutes. Anyway, I'm probably going to wind this up for now. But I just want you to know that I'm still here. I may continue making videos. If you want to see certain kinds of videos, let me know. If you think the retirement thing is the way I should go, I can do that, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to find the time and do editing and all that kind of stuff. But this particular video, you're going to find that there's no editing. I like to edit. It's fun. It's something I can do. I'm pretty good at it. But it's time consuming, And if I don't have to do it, I'm not going to do it. So this one's not going to be edited. I'm going to record it and I'm going to upload it and I'll be done. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to end it right here. It's been 20 minutes or so, and if you're still here, I thank you. Give me a like and a subscribe, and I don't know if I qualify for a hype option, but if I do, you can hit that too if you feel like it. If you don't like this kind of content, if you don't like me just getting on here and talking, you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to make any snarky comments or anything. Just say goodbye and don't ever come back. Anyway, so is that a deal? Okay. Well, that's it. I'm Jay. This is the Daily Creek. And we'll see you later.